plant-based eater for a number of years now.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Now, what started you on your journey?
What started me on my journey is that I came to the realization that how I was eating was causing me to be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my family has a history of diabetes in some of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt if I kept going on the way I was eating, that I was going down that road and didn't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So I made some changes in my life at the time that felt extremely comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized those changes were so comfortable for me and effortless,
Mm-hmm.
I just kept going. And I realized I was probably doing this my entire life, but to fit in to do what everyone else in my family was doing,
Mm-hmm.
I was just following along.
Mm-hmm.
But the change,
Was it gradually?
it was gradual, but it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. Meat was the last thing I ate on my plate. I was the person hiding the plate of meat in the microwave. So at the end of the night, somebody would say, "Well, whose plate is this?" "Not mine." "It's not mine. I ate mine." No, that was mine. I ate everything around it. Kind of hid the meat, you know, or added some food to it and took it home. This is what I'm going to eat tomorrow. Ate everything around that, but left the meat.
Now, as I drive around certain areas, I see that there's a lot of plant-based restaurants.
Yes.
Has that made it easier for you as a plant-based eater?
That has made it easier for me. However, I don't particularly like to eat out. I like going in the kitchen and creating my own dishes. I know the way I like my food to taste. I know what I'm putting in my food,
Yes.
and it makes it easier for me. When I started my transition, when I started my journey, there wasn't a lot of plant-based restaurants. So I went into my kitchen and decided, this is what I like to eat. I will make it in a plant-based version of what I like to eat, and that's what I did.
Now, Ms. Cox, how do you feel about plant-based eating, when, especially with your clients? Do you try to get them? When you think about making those changes, how do you go about helping them to make those changes?
Well, first of all, I do what's called a comprehensive health evaluation. So that, because one size does not fit all.
Right.
We're all in different phases of our journey, so it's important to me to meet people where they are.
That's right.
Some people are healthier, some people are not. So it just depends. So that gives me a lot of information about their background. Like, are they on medications? Do they have any health issues? Like, what are their struggles? Because we all have different struggles. Like, what is your biggest obstacle? Like, all of those kind of things. So it's an individualized plan. So we just sit down. And I do agree that, so my philosophy is a whole food, plant-based
Yes.
lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's the best lifestyle for everybody.
Yes.
Now, I know that everybody is not going to eat whole food plant-based for the rest of their life, okay? So I leave wiggle room for whatever the client needs. Like, if they like meat, that's fine,
Yes.
except for pork. I do not allow for that, because I just don't, and I really don't like a lot of beef, because beef and pork have been proven to cause colon and stomach cancer.
Right.
Okay, they're directly related to cancer. And guess who's impacted the most by cancer? African Americans, and we're dying at a younger age, and we have more aggressive forms of everything. So my conversation is to portion size.
Yes.
3 ounces is the serving size of any meat. So if you're going to leave it in there, there's 3 ounces. No fried foods. People get caught up to think air fryers are healthy, and it's not. It's not. I say ditch the air fryers and invest in a juicer and invest in blenders and things like that. Invest in things that are going to give you life.
All right.
Utilize the oven.
The oven. I don't really use the microwave.
I don't use it at all.
So yeah, it's radiation. So it contributes to cancers and all kind of health issues. So we need to be aware that even though those are conveniences, is detrimental to our health.
Okay. I'm getting rid of my microwave.
I have a question for you. What do you do in a situation where you have, let's say, a husband and wife, and the wife says, "I need to make a change, Tracy"?
And the husband
come over to my house and help me. And the husband is in the background saying, with his turkey leg in his hand, I'm not giving up my meat. Yeah, I'm not giving this up. My bacon, I'm not giving that up.
Yeah. You both have to be on board. Now, I do have a secret weapon. I didn't bring him today.
Okay.
So, my husband is also predominantly plant-based, and he was one of those caveman meeting type of people.
One of those rebellious.
So men can relate to one another. So if it's a situation where it's a husband or a wife or a couple or something like that, he'll kind of pull them to the side. And, because men, just like women, a man don't understand a woman and a woman don't understand a man.
Right.
And I think when it comes from somebody who has been there, because he will tell you he had a history of blood clots, high blood pressure, was anemic, all of these kind of things, and he does not take any medication. So it works.
It works. Okay.
It works. So, but you have to, number one, have an open mind. And he probably would have told you the same thing. That, I'm not giving this up and I'm not giving this up. And now he does the juicing in the family. So that's how we start our day every day. So he does the juice. We belong to a food co-op.
Okay.
But I see you have a beautiful garden. So that's one of the things we need to get back to is having a fresh garden. From the garden to the table, that's the best.
Right.
But if you don't have that, definitely to join a food co-op. It saves you money and it promotes health. So I think in that case it's important because I think men need to really understand. We live in this society, especially with African American men, where we beat them down, right? We tell them they know good and they don't do this and they don't do that. But the truth is, men are vital to our family.
Yes.
And they need to understand that. So if something happens to them, especially if they're the provider and the things like that. So if something happens to you, what happens to your wife? What happens to your children? What happens to your grandchildren? And in 2018, we probably lost about 8 friends that didn't even live to see age 50.
Wow.
A lot of them died in their 40s from preventable diseases. This is not a tragic accident where they got involved in a car accident or got hit by a bus or a plane crash. This is 100%, and all of them were male.
Wow.
Did not live to see 50. So what is the aftermath? It's the children they don't see to grow up. The grandchildren they would never get to see and things like that. So I think if we and people come around. If you're responsible, most women are responsible for taking care of the family as far as nutrition and cooking and stuff like that.
Yes.
We have to stop enabling. Okay, they can't eat what we don't cook or what we don't bring in the house. Now, if they want to stop by Popeyes or wherever they want to do, we have no control over what they do. But we can set the environment. So a lot of women, what they do is they cook healthy or whatever, and then they cook them, they fry pork chops and stuff like that. And that's a huge disconnect.
Right.
You're supposed to be one.
Right.
So, and they get used to it. And as long as you season it and people, and when we go to potlucks and things like that, we bring our vegetarian dishes, whole food, plant-based dishes, and guess what gets eaten up? Our food.
Our food, yes. That's always the case.
That's always the case.
Always the case. Our food gets eaten first, and everything else that they're used to eating gets left on the table.
Yep.
Now, what do you do when? Because people ask me, Sherry, you're plant-based. Isn't it expensive? No.
This is my response. What is the most expensive thing that you put in a grocery basket?
Meat.
Meat. Meat and cheese.
Sure.
Quit playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You stop buying that meat. You
can
load
afford
up
to
on
buy
the
everything
especially
else.
when things are in season.
That's right.
Things are so much food, produce are so much more inexpensive when you buy them in season. So
Right.
no, I disagree. And guess what? Ladies especially, even in this pandemic, spending all that money to do what? Get your hair done, get your nails done. So don't tell me what's expensive. I see some of these expensive handbags and clothing and things like that. So we invest.
Prioritize.
We
That's right.
right. Our priorities are
Our
mixed
priority
up.
should be our health
Yes,
first.
right.
Why I like eating at home is because I get to decide what herbs what vegetables, how I want my food to taste for me. I don't have to buy something at a restaurant, take it home, and doctor it.
Oh, wow.
I know what I want in my food, and it makes it easier for me. I don't waste my fruits. I don't waste my vegetables. I eat what I make, save the rest for lunch tomorrow, and I'm fine with that. And this works for me.
Right. And plus, there's a lot of chemicals and hormones
Yes.
and antibiotics and things like that. So you really don't know what's in the food.
Right.
And going back to the vegan restaurants, right? Not all vegan places are healthy, or not, and not all vegan does. It should imply health, but it's really not. If potato chips are vegan,
Oh, yes.
okay, beer is considered vegan.
Vegan, yeah.
French fries are considered vegan.
That's
So
how you fix it.
is that
It's
exactly
preferred.
so? But is that healthy?
Soy is considered vegan, but it's not healthy.
Yeah, it's how it's prepared.
Yeah, how it's prepared doesn't
Now,
necessarily make it
you know, one of the
healthy.
things that I want to touch on is control.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I believe is that, you know, especially me on my journey, was the fact that I have control over what I put in my body and what I let in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important, especially when you think about foods that we eat. We have that ability to control that. Not food controlling us to the point where wherever I turn, I'm eating whatever I see. We have that power to make those choices. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. And I was going to say, when we talk about mind, body, spirit, you have to watch what you put in your mind, and you have to watch what you put in your spirit. And when I talk about that, it's more than food. It's the company you keep.
That's
It's
correct.
the television.
Yes.
You have to watch like what you're reading, what you're, because all of that, especially in our little ones.
Yeah.
So that's important, what you feed your spirit and your mind as well.
And you said something important, the little ones,
the little ones,
because that's where we have to start. I
We
mean,
have to
if
start
we
in
don't,
the womb.
like you said, if we don't want to do it for ourselves, sometimes do it for those little ones. Train them up the way that they should go. I mean, that means in every area, especially spiritual and nutrition. I feel that's a very important area that we need to focus on, those little ones.
Yep.
My granddaughter, whenever she comes over, we cook with each other. You know, I show her how to, like especially we have the garden. We go to the garden, we get stuff, and she cooks from that. So she's already developing a lifestyle of making those choices
That's right.
at an early age. And it doesn't matter if you don't have a garden.
Right.
You can start anywhere. You know, you can, just practice those things. Go to the grocery store.
As
Sure,
Tracy
go to
said,
the
join a
vegetable
co-op.
area. Yeah. Yeah, join a
Co-op,
co-op, and,
co-op.
and start. We can start anywhere.
Yeah, instead of giving them candy, give them,
That's
because it's not the children, right? It's the adults.
That's right.
So many people say, oh, you know, I do a home assessment or a kitchen assessment and they have all this junk in there. Oh, that's not for me. That's for my grandbabies, or that's what I said. Okay, so if you
Grandbaby
have
what?
health issues as a result of that, does your grandbabies need to be eating this? And the
No.
answer is no. And so I'm like, okay, here's the garbage bag. I don't toss it out. You have to toss it
That's
out, because
right.
you have to take ownership of your choices. And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, let me give it away. I just spent so much money. So if you don't need it, why would you pass that poison on to somebody
That's
else?
right. That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more talk on health, wellness, and plant-based lifestyle.
Stay tuned for more talk on health, wellness, and plant-based lifestyle.
Stay tuned for more talk on health, wellness, and plant-based lifestyle.